Greetings, I, the War Owl, greets you, Professor Emeritus of Counter-Strike. I've watched a lot of your Matchmaking Academy demos. I played with you guys inside of the subscriber games on the Twitch stream, and I have seen a consistent pattern over the years, a consistent problem with regular old Counter-Strike players, and that's a lack of understanding of the economy of the game. Counter-Strike Global Offensive, as a competitive game, is strongly based around an in-game economic system. You gotta learn how to do simple math to play Counter-Strike. This is a big thing that separates it from other competitive shooters and makes it such a great game. Now, we're talking about the in-game economy, not the Steam market or anything like that. Fun fact, the Valve employee originally responsible for the Steam market eventually went on to become the finance minister of Greece. His first act was to institute a policy whereby patrons of the local bank would have to pay €2.50 in order to play a slot machine that then decided how much money they were allowed to withdraw for that day. It saved the euro. The first principle of CsGo economy: your money is not your money, it's your team's money. But well, that's communism. Well, not really. Even in great modern developed capitalist nations, money is shared between members of the family unit. For the duration of the game, your team is your family. You know that guy who asks you to buy him an AWP every round at the expense of your armor and gets pissy if you refuse? That's your wife. One of the most blatant mistakes I often see is the refusal to drop teammates' weapons. Let's look at a specific professional example so we can see what to do and why to do it. Now, we all know that professional Counter-Strike players can do no wrong. So our professional example today comes from the Ninjas in Pajamas versus Astralis. For a little bit of context on this match, Astralis has just lost 3 rounds in a row. They're hurting economically. This is a very important round for them to win. They put it into a 2 versus 2, and thank goodness they're actually able to win it. Notice they're gonna grab those AK-47s. You think, well, the AK-47's cheaper than the M4. Yeah, but most players are gonna prefer that AK because of the one-tap potential, so they're gonna grab it. So this is a 2-player survive. They have weapons, they have armor with no helmet, one has a flash, and one has a kit. Now, what I want to try and teach you guys here in this situation is when you save weapons and some of your teammates die, it actually usually, like most of the time, makes sense for you to drop your weapon for your teammates, even if they have enough money to buy for themselves. So let's look at the economy on this round. The 2 players who survived with those AKs, 3750, important number. 3750 is the minimum amount you need as a CT to buy armor and an M4 with no helmet. Everybody meets that except for Device. So you'd think, like in a normal game, Device would say, hey, I need a drop. And then Zipix would probably drop him the AK-47 or buy an M4, drop him the A4 and grab the AK-47. It's a much better idea for both Zipix and CsGo to drop their weapons for their teammates. If 3 of them survived, 2 of them should have dropped for the other player. And the reason is, if you survive a round, you still get the reward money. And you also get your armor that you had on that previous round. So they don't have to rebuy that armor, I guess, unless they want to get a helmet, which they don't really need a helmet for the next round. It makes sense economically in order to allow those players with a little bit less money to buy up utility on this round, to get a kit maybe, or more importantly, to get some nades and to get that armor. So let's see what happens. We'll watch it in a slow motion here, just to prove to you that what I'm saying is how the professional players do it. It's how you should be doing it, and it's a mistake I see quite a bit. So first is going to be Zipix. He throws that AK-47 out there. Here's CsGo with his AK-47. Looking at Glaive. Looks like Glaive bought his own M4. And he drops the M4 out there. So those are drops for Dupree and Device. Both on the ground as they buy up their own M4s. And if we speed it up a little bit, we now look where we are. And these players all have weapons. They all have armor. It looks like Device and CsGo were both able. It looks like CsGo actually bought up a helmet there. So we have 2 players with helmets, 2 players with kits, and a lot of smokes, flashes, Molotovs, and yummy goodness like that. Yummy goodness, what the? The second principle of CsGo economy is always do the math. In order to understand what to buy at any given time, you need to understand how the money system works. Here's my economy cheat sheet. You can print this out or open it up on a second monitor as you play until you develop a good sense of the numbers. Many players wrongly assume that rounds are simple buys or saves. By doing some simple math and remembering a few numbers, we can make better economic decisions. Here are a few numbers to remember. $3,700. That's the price of armor, helmet, and an AK-47. This is the minimum amount you'll need to buy on the T side. Every extra dollar goes towards your nades. $4,100. That's the price of M4 helmet and armor. This is the minimum you need on the CT side on an anti-eco. You definitely want a helmet for anti-eco, but if money is tight and you're going up against AKs and ops, you only really need $3,750. So remember that number as well. $3,750, the price of M4 and armor without helmet. Again, everything extra is for nades, with $400 for at least one player to purchase a defusal kit. Quick tip! You don't need every player to purchase an expensive $400 kit. The optimal way to purchase kits is to have each bomb site anchor purchase one, so you have a kit on each side of the map. When a player dies with a kit, they should remember to call the kit's position so their living teammates know where it is if they need to get it. Quick tip over! Let's look at an example from one of your games, one of the Matchmaking Academy submitted demos, to see how we could better use these numbers to make better buying decisions. This is amazing. So I grabbed the first Matchmaking Academy demo off the top of the pile, the most recent one submitted to me because I knew I'd find economic mistakes inside of it, specific ones I wanted to show, but as I was going through, this is the first thing that I saw that just shocked me. So the demo was actually sent in by this Smitty guy, right? Check this out. He's got 9,200 right now. One of his teammates has 1,400. It's very, very obvious that this player should drop for him, but watch what happens. Instead of dropping for this player, he buys up AWP, full utility, still has 2,400 left. So it's more important for him to get his kit, to get his smoke, his flash, to have an AWP on this round, to have a helmet against, what? Okay, they're buying weird stuff on the other team as well, so I don't even know when you get down to Master Guardian games. But look at that. He doesn't buy for this poor guy, and he forces him to play with a P250 on a buy round. That is absolutely unacceptable, as was missing that shot. Master Guardian level matchmaking. That's here. Let's talk about how making a few calculations, remembering those numbers we talked about, can help you make the right economic decisions inside of the game. So, where are we in context? The CTs, who we're looking at here, our hero Smitty, have just lost the last round. So that's going to be 1,400 reward money for this round. We can see what their money is right now. There's a little bit of a back and forth going. So we have a CT win, T win, CT win, T win. So, and look at this. Only one terrorist was able to survive the last round. That means they know that the economy is going to be pretty similar, that the T's are going to be able to buy fully, but maybe not completely fully, and they're not going to have a lot of stuff. It's a good opportunity to break the economy of the terrorists. So a professional level team, in my opinion, would buy. I think a professional level team, for the most part, most situations, right now, would buy. Most teams are going to buy. However, you may decide to save, and this team does decide to save. However, I think if they buy, we have a player with 7,000, player with 5,000. 3 of their players are going to have guns. 2 are going to have armor with a pistol, and they're going to have utility. So they should buy, but they don't. They decide to save. So if you do decide to save, and that is a decision you can do, you say, what can I buy? How much money can I spend on this round so that I can still buy on the next round? That's where our little mathematicals come in. Our minimum was $3,750. So $3,750 is armor with no helmet and an M4. They're going to be getting 1,900 reward money in the next round. You do that really quickly. How can I do that really quickly? 1,400. That's the one number you have to remember. 1,400 for a loss plus 500 for a loss in a row. So that's 1,900 reward money on the next round. So you have 3,750 minus 1,900. You don't even have to get close. It's 1,850. So we look at their money, they're going to be able to buy next round. Vegetable has that minimum threshold, and of course, one of the players would be able to drop him as well in the next round if they actually really needed to. So the players can pretty much, and I would say, I would spend up to the point where I'm at like that 22 100 level that those players are at. So what I think would be the best decision is a player with 7,000 could drop pistols for those 3 players. Then even he could buy armor. Fat Panda could also buy armor. They could also buy a little bit of utility, some smokes maybe to try to trick the T's into thinking they bought. Some flashes, which will help them get some frags, and kind of even it up. So that's how I would spend. Let's see how they actually do it here at MG1 level, where communication is nigh. So we see Smitty already buys the Deagle. So he's at 1,500. He's going to need to call for a drop on the next round if they lose it. So that's unfortunate. Vegetable also buys a P250, putting him down to 1,500. That's pretty rough. So they're not going to have a good time on the next round. They're not going to be able to do a full buy if they lose it because of what they did. And let's look at the result of that. They have some pistols on this round, which is good, but they could have had those pistols doing it a much better way. I think that was an unfortunate economic decision. I think it's going to hurt them on this round. And yeah, after all the buying is done, what? Why do you have an AUG? This dude still has... Did he even drop? Oh, yeah. Oh, they spent all of their money on this round. This guy's got an AUG. We have one player with an SMG, where if they did it my way, they'd all have rifles. And Vegetable doesn't have armor. Goodness. So it's not like super bad, but it still is not optimal. And I think just making the right decisions optimally, you know, economically, you can give yourself a good competitive advantage. I know some people have this strange aversion to doing simple math, but let's get real. It's not that difficult. You're just doing simple addition, subtraction, and remembering a few values. And for the most part, your math can be fuzzy. You don't have to get it 100%. Just develop an idea of when you should be buying and what you should be buying. The more of you out there who understand the meta game of the economy, the better all of our games are gonna be. All of this being said, we have but one final principle of CsGo economy to take us back to the beginning and go full circle. Buy as a team. If you get some idiots on your team who are making bad decisions and you fail to convince them of what needs to be done, it's more important to be consistent with your team than to be right. Now let's say your team calls a save, but you know it should be a buy. You're trying to convince them. You're using knowledge. You're using numbers. You're saying, hey guys, we're supposed to buy. But, you know, they're just being arrogant morons and they think they know what's best. Hey, dude, I have 3,000 hours in Counter-Strike, so I think I know a little bit better than you. Where am I going with this? Anyway, it's better to just go along with their buying habits. It's better for the team to not be out of sync. If you're going to make the wrong decision, make the wrong decision together. As I said, your team is your family, and sometimes you have to indulge your family members in order to prevent it from becoming dysfunctional. Be the bigger man. Thanks for watching. I'm the War Owl, and I still have no closer. Didn't we have a schedule? What the heck happened to that?